Hello and welcome to another episode of Conscious Coffee Chats. So, today I want to talk about investment and choice and how that ties in with support. My mug today says, coffee is a hug in a mug. And when we invest ourselves, to me, that's like a hug that we give ourselves. Now, what does that mean to invest in ourselves? Let's start. I start with telling you a little bit of a personal story here. So, when I was young, very young, um, just moved out of the house and did an apprenticeship and everything. I struggled quite much, and um, I searched for help. And in Germany, we have a very good healthcare system. That means that if you want mental support, you can also get therapy. So I went to a therapist, which was a rather disheartening experience because that therapist was, I think, not very good. It was a psychoanalyst, I think, even, or psychotherapist. So we weren't very much in my head. I felt more confused when I went out there. And in one session, he even fell asleep. He always asked me the same stuff. Then I responded the same stuff, and then he fell asleep. That was not very kind. And that was my first experience with therapy. So, no, maybe that has shaped me. That could be. And I'm very sure that there are a lot of therapies out there that are way better. And I know that because I have friends and family and a lot of people who have had therapy and very good ones. So I'm not here to talk about that it's not good to go to therapy. Not at all. It's needed. However, years later, I had a quite a painful breakup, and I was in a very low state, and I decided to search for help again. This time, I was in the lucky position that I had enough money to support myself. And to invest in coaching. And the universe put me together with the most beautiful person ever. I'm very grateful for that. And I spent 10 years working with that coach. So I invested a lot in my personal growth. And back at that time, a lot of people were asking me, what are you doing, Nicole? You're not like, you don't have a mental illness. There's nothing wrong with you. Why are you going to coaching? Now, that brings me to the most important topic. If there's noises in the background, that's my cat making some strange things. I try to ignore that now. But where was I? When there's nothing wrong. Yes. So for me, and that's something that I um, find very important in the sessions that I offer as well, nothing is wrong with anyone, right? No one is broken. We are all already whole. And to me, alternative healing ties into exactly that. Alternative healing goes, they approach the session from a state of wholeness. So the question is not how can we fix what's broken from the outside? It's more like how can we return to our wholeness, to the wholeness that we already are. So for me, that is support versus fixing. And we can invest in many ways. We can invest in terms of money. Obviously, that will be the most obvious one that I think or that we connect with the word investing. But we can also invest time, and we can also invest effort. And I have come to observe that we tend to buy things that we can hold on to, and we tend to value that more than um, investing in, like, in a time for us, or in, making effort kind of to grow ourselves. And that is shifting. A lot of people are starting to really see how that shifts things if I go and invest in myself. Um, and I think there's a few parts that we can invest in that are really beneficial. It is, for example, our mental health. And that doesn't have to be a big, big session. Um, it could be. It could be an online course. It could also be buying a book that brings me forward. It could also be taking the time to sit and mindfully sip my coffee. By the way, I have to drink. Hmm. It could also be um, just making a loving choice and saying no to something in a moment where I normally would say yes. Then there's physical health, obviously. That could look like I'm booking myself a deep massage or an osteopath, or I make the choice for to try out alternative healing. And then there's spiritual health, and uh, that could look like learning something new, or even, like, doing that hobby that I've always wanted to do, but that I find far too expensive, but doing that for ourselves, that's an investment, and that will certainly bring us back to our wholeness, because then it's aligned with us. And I think we are often hesitant to invest in ourselves in ways that we don't normally do, because there's no guarantee that it works. And also because we have a fear of the unknown. So if we try something new, we don't know what's going to happen. We have, like, we try a new hobby, or we go to a place where we've never been. It's unknown. We are not comfortable with that normally, if we are not practicing it. And then we may not make the choice to support ourselves in that way. And I think we're very quick with supporting others, because that's also what we've learned is the honorable thing to do. However, when we not at all invest ourselves, then we invest in others, first of all, from a place of fixing, probably, because it's very uncomfortable to sit with someone and wanting to hold space and say, like, there's nothing wrong with that person, because we are so used to analyze the problem and then go into the problem. Like, think about a challenging situation that you had, how quickly people are to give advice. Um, and I think the the advice, it comes from a genuine place. Everybody wants the best for the other one, true. But it can also feel like, first of all, it takes away our own intuition, right? If somebody gives advice immediately, uh, then it takes away from your own voice. And then also, the advice that is given oftentimes is not given because or oftentimes is given because of um, a need to get rid of that discomfort. And I have been there myself as well. Like, everybody goes there, and I think that's the most beautiful thing we can practice, is to listen without giving advice. And my wish for the world is that at some point we don't need to pay other people to listen to us, um, and that's what happens often in therapy and coaching, that it's simply about listening and hearing yourself talking as well, and having someone that listens without conditions and without giving advice in a way. If you have ever been to a therapy session, that can be like, I remember in the beginning, we want the solutions, right? We're like, but you tell me now what to do, because we're so used to problem solve, but we cannot problem solve from a state of brokenness, like, because we cannot approach the problem with the same energy we approached it with the same energy which with it came. Jeez, grammar. so so when we approach a problem from the same state of being that we are as when the problem came, we won't be able to solve it. And you can see that in situations where you might have had like an issue that you were thinking about, you're overthinking, how can I solve this, how can I solve this, and then at some point you give up and you say, I let this go, I can't deal with that anymore. And then somehow magically that when you're like kind of focusing on other things and you were feeling better and everything, suddenly that problem went away. um yeah. And then uh yeah, I think every time we can make a choice, a true choice, um, it is tied together with a little bit of discomfort and a little bit of unknown. Um, and I I like that our world wants to keep people safe in a way. I genuinely think systems were created in order to create safety for people. But when we are only moving within a system, when I'm only like, because in Germany, for example, when you want a therapist and you want healthcare to pay for it, then you only have a certain range of therapists. You cannot choose everyone. And you cannot say, I'm doing alternative healing, because that's not included. So if if someone else takes care of you in this system, then you only have certain choices. But if you take care of yourself outside of that system and step outside of the box, then the possibilities are limitless. And so I think to invest in ourselves, we have to make the conscious choice, and that is the loving choice. That is coming back to love. It's self-love when we take time for ourselves. It's self-love when we put ourselves first. And my cat has taught me that so much because when she had her accident, I didn't think twice about giving her the health care that she needed, and paying for it. But weeks before, I had a huge issue with my back, and I stalled so long and I negotiated with myself for so long if I can invest to cure it or to go to somewhere where I get help. Like, it's funny how for others we are so generous, and for ourselves we're not. But if we are not generous with ourselves, then how can we give to others? Like, because then we're not good for anybody because then at some point we end up depleted. Um, so yeah, and I, for me, the the support that helped me the most, and the people that I love to um, invest in are not the famous people or the people who are having a good status. For me, it always has been about authenticity. And interestingly, you find that more in the ordinary world. So, for example, when I read, I love to read people here on Substack. Uh, and please, please, all of you on Substack, can you please publish some books? Because I also love to read books. I don't, so please publish a book so that I can hold it in my hand and mark it and highlight it and everything. Um, and if you know how to do it, reach out. I give you everything I know. Like I'm self-trained as well, but I can give you a few tips. But I really find that the people that are genuinely wanting to bring out the word, that genuinely want to um, share the love and the wholeness, that's what I enjoy. And people with a strong why, that know why they're doing things, and also oftentimes I find it's very valuable when someone has gathered a lot of different modalities. We're so used to go for the certificate, for that one uh, label, you know and that's, I think, often what happens within the systems. You have to stick to the labels in a way, and I think there's so much opportunity and magic in exactly the people that cannot be labeled with one label, because nobody is one label. We are all made of different parts. So I invite you to ask yourself, where can you invest in yourself? Where can you make the choice for yourself? That can be different things. It can, as I said, look like making time for yourself, saying no, protecting time. It can be buying a book. It can be um, doing an online course, trying something different, doing animal healing, whatever, or learning something new, something where you say you can grow yourself in your inner world, And if you want to know if it's right for you, then I invite you to ask yourself the question, is it, do I do it to make me better? Or do I do it because this aligns me with who I truly am? So I think when we're looking for support that aligns us with who we truly are, then it's always a very loving choice and less pressure. And then it's not outside, then it's inside. So, yeah, because I think we don't need to be better. We don't need to be fixed. But to make the choice for ourselves, to invest ourselves, that's self-love. And when we are filled with self-love, then we don't need to make an effort to give, because then we're spilling over with that love, and then everybody in our surrounding benefits from that. And then we can also, and I think the biggest gift we can give someone is hold them in the image of unconditional love, because that feels good and that lights someone up. That's what lights us up, when we hold someone else in the image of unconditional love. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. This one was a bit longer. But yeah, cheers.